Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a great conference so far. And we end on a very important segment, which is the big talent wake-up call. What this is really saying is that in the age of accelerators, it's very important to take a step back and remember that be it hospitality, services, or any other industry is a human-based industry. We've seen across the past 2 days and today that at the end of the day, it is humans behind the technological change, it is humans behind the property buildup, it is humans behind the service experience, it is humans behind delivering the brand promise and experience, and most certainly it is humans that are developing the big data algorithms, the digital transformations, and the automations. Why is this very important? Okay, because talent is a catalyst of change. Humans are the catalysts of change. The brains, the thoughts, across all the value chain, across all levels of any organization, senior, non-senior, the preparation of this talent, the retention, and not just that, the continuous investment in our talents is what keeps us sustainably alive and competitive in an extremely fast-paced and changing world, which we have witnessed yesterday and today. Allow me just a few seconds to give you a quick background about MODUL University. We were born in Vienna in 1908. Although we have a heritage of 108 years, we're still very much modern, young, and agile. At the time, established by the Vienna Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and that makes us the world's oldest institution offering tourism and hospitality education. MODUL University Dubai was inaugurated on the 10th of October 2016. That was also the same day we were very pleased and honored to host AHIC on our campus. We offer a world-class teaching facility in our state-of-the-art campus at JLT, but more importantly, we also have a strong dedication to research through our Sustainability and Education and Research Center called CERC. Of course, we pay credence to our investors and founders in Dubai, Dubai Investments Conglomerate, to which you are all very aware of. Now, why is this very important? It is one thing to have an academic program. It is another thing to have a research center that is avant-garde and at par with where the industry is and where the world is changing. And why is this important? Historically, and even today with a few institutions, there's always a gap between academia and the real world. What happens is whether it's an academic graduate, a short course graduate, or a vocational graduate, their skill sets in being able to adapt and integrate very fast and hit the ground running in any institution remains a major gap. And this is a problem for both the employee and the employer. And this is where the skills gap happens. This is where human element cannot be as fast as technology requires it to be, as fast as systems are in the big conglomerates or even a startup, so agility is missing. Now, let's take a closer look at why the module education addresses this gap. Over 100 years' experience has given us the proper credentials to prepare these talents ahead of major event build-ups such as Expos and Olympics, and as well as the Expo 2020 coming up in Dubai. Our international accreditations with AHIC, Austria, and the United Nations World Tourism Organization, with the licensing from the KHDA, gives us the credentials needed for any student, be it a professional, an undergrad, or even a school student, to be able to use their education internationally and locally across all companies and even perhaps start their own. Many of you might have met some of our Modul alumni. They've started their own companies at AHIC. Some of them are between AHIC and other organizations, running some of the major hotel groups here, and we're very proud of them and every other hospitality and services professional. Let's take a bigger look at the business case. Yesterday and today, we've looked at the massive potential. We'll zero in at a little bit of why this potential really requires even more attention to be paid for the talents. Over $300 billion is being invested for tourism-related infrastructure, not just in hotels and operators, but the roads, the metro, airport services, anything that is across the vertical value chain. Dubai International Airport witnessed over 80 million visitors in 2016. In the UAE alone, there's over 45 economic free zones to facilitate businesses, of which 20 plus are in Dubai. If we zoom in a little bit more on Expo 2020, it's expected to generate 227,000 jobs. 40% is in the tourism sector alone. Now, while the infrastructure is catching up and the digital infrastructure and technology infrastructure is all being in a massive race to accommodate for all of this, the talent buildup must be given its due time, because it requires time to train, it requires time for practice, it requires time for internships, and the time is now to start investing in our people. Let's take a closer look also at Dubai and why this need is even more imminent. Dubai is already the fourth most visited city in the world. It already oversees over 15 million overnight visitors. And it ranks #1 in terms of destination cities for overnight visitor spend, as per the MasterCard spend. It's ranked 20th in the world in terms of compound annual growth rate with 9%. But let's look at the talent. We have 60% of the population, be it expat and local, between 25 to 54 years old. If we look at 54 to 65 years old, there's also another 3%. This is a massive opportunity for everybody to capitalize on. However, this opportunity is not guaranteed to be fully trained, fully ready, fully educated to hit the ground running. So what happens is, properties are ready, facilities are ready, the employees are placed in place, but there's very minimal time to train, or the background and the basics might be missing. And then what happens during the soft opening or any of that, the human experience and the customer experience becomes a hit or miss. There is a way to address that, and we can address that now with education. And that's why the single most critical challenge for us all coming up, be it as educational institutions or as employers or as investors, is the human element to effectively deliver customer experiences across all the brands. Now, how can we do that? Human capital qualification is not just about the education or the theoretical education. It's also about internships and the practical experience. And through that, employers and anybody who is willing to invest in their talent can source the right associates. And therefore, in a fast-changing world where profits are extremely important, where operational efficiency is extremely important, and massive investments are being done in all the digital, smart buildings and facilities, investing in the human capital will allow all these organizations to survive, because they will be the educated, learning organizations, and they will be lean. Therefore, when changes happen, and room rates change, and oil prices change, your human capital is not massively affected. You can retain your talent. You can build upon that even when that wave of business struggle is over. And therefore, we believe that there's a need for change in the delivery of education. How do we do that? Through greater dialogue and awareness. That means more institutions like MODUL, more education institutions need to be present to have a dialogue between the tourism industry, the hospitality industry, the investors, and all educators to come up together with better formulas to improve employment prospects, to equip the professionals with the changing business needs, even those that have had the best experience and the best education. And therefore, we contribute to leadership capacity today and the future. How do we do that? We do that through educational programs that are designed to meet tomorrow's needs today. We are the only university offering paid internships to our undergraduate students, postgraduate students, and foundation students even before they join us. We give them a taste of the real world. Then they take the academic. Then within that, they have another internship of 6 to 9 months, so that by the time they graduate, they've already been exposed to the best of both worlds, and they're equipped to hit the ground running. We also have professional education programs and short courses designed to address any skill gap that might come up in the market. While someone might have 5, 10, 15, 20 years experience, the world is changing so fast that there needs to be new skill sets to be learned. So learning and education experience is an evolving, ongoing, non-stoppable venture that we should all bring ourselves together. And therefore, we reinforce the value added by giving valuable operational insights. And it's not just in the operations department, but operational insights is on the way of how to really run a business with operational efficiency and profitability across all levels of the organization. And therefore, there are certain programs that are custom tailored to meet professional working individuals, be it here in Saudi Arabia, across the GCC, and also some of our students are from Europe to address that. And last but not least, thank you very much. I know we're close to finishing. And thanks for AHIC and Jonathan for this wonderful platform.
Suha, thank you very much indeed for that fascinating conversation. Don't go away just yet, because I've got lots of questions about this. I'd love to know more about the raw talent, the caliber of raw talent that you feel you're getting here in Dubai compared to, say, Vienna. And the reason part of the reason I asked the question is that I've taught at university here, journalism, one of my own specializations. And there was the spectrum was incredibly wide. Some incredibly sharp, well-educated, clearly high-performing students, and at the other end, some who you thought, well, I'm not entirely sure you should really be at a university, but, you know, hey-ho, that was it. But what are you finding in terms of the raw talent that you're getting?
The first part of, this is a very good question, actually. The first part of your question is between Vienna and Dubai. In both of our locations, we've been very lucky and very blessed to have over 40 to 50 different nationalities of students amongst males and females. This creates a diverse environment for every learning student on our campus, but also creates learnings for everybody in terms of different cultures, different ways of doing things, bringing upon international knowledge. Now, the good thing about that is that it exposes you to the entire spectrum of employee personalities or even human personalities. Let's step back and take a look at personalities and how people work. While someone at the onset might not seem to be so much of a leader or a customer-facing individual, these people might be very good in the back-end jobs. And this is where you can really segregate, and you have this wide spectrum personalities, service, and be very good plugins to the hotel and hospitality sector. What we've also noticed on the talent thing is that the tourism, hospitality, education is becoming more and more relevant to non-industry or non-classical industry leaders. For example, we have a lot of bankers that are joining us in Dubai because they care that their staff has that customer service orientation where the customer and the experience is core to the brand. And the reason for that is very common across all industries, be it FMCG, banking and finance, anything outside hospitality tourism. The tangible offering of brands has become very comparably similar, be it through a loan, car, anything like that. The differentiator becomes for the brand is the experience. And that differentiator, as much as the infrastructure can be very advanced, can only be finally delivered and locked in with the human experience. So if you have anybody that's customer-facing, that's heavily trained and well-equipped, they will retain that customer. And that's why what we're seeing in Dubai versus Vienna is all those different industries willing to join our university to take more education for that. And it has changed around their business very much so.
That knowledge transfer to different industries, interesting perspective. I'm happy to take a question from the floor. I know this is a hot issue in AHIC every year, but particularly this year. Does anyone have a question? I've got loads of questions. I'm going to stand here to ask the second question, so you can face this side of the audience.
Sure.
Let's talk about executive education. Let's talk about people going back into college after 5 or 6 years, 10 years, and getting some kind of higher qualification to propel their career. Where do we stand at that end of education? We might call it executive education, MBA-style education, but whatever it is, when someone reaches that level, 5, 6 years experience, wanting to kick on into management, perhaps even senior management roles.
Well, with that in mind, two types of educational programs, be it at MODUL or other universities or education institutions that offer that, become very important. You have now a modular MBA program, which is very important for experienced professionals, because those MBA programs, or the ones at MODUL, address exactly what's happening in the market right now. The other part is the short courses, which is on specific subject matters, let's say big data, digital transformation, consumer journey, certain financial analyses for the hospitality sector. They're designed as short courses so that they're delivered in a blended learning environment, pre and post, online, during the course, and after that, so that the individual can plug themselves in, get the knowledge that they need, and directly within that process apply to their current work. So there is no need to really leave work, go back to education, and then go back and seek a job again. You could that professional can do things in parallel. And our programs are designed that way, not just in terms of syllabi, but in terms of timing, because they provide that agility and speed that the business environment requires today. It's very rare for us to see a professional that has actually stopped their career to study and then go back. So both things have to happen in parallel.
Finally, let me ask you a question about the two of the most populous markets in this region, Saudi Arabia and Egypt. We're going to have a big focus on Saudi Arabia shortly in our conversation, but also Egypt. It's all well and good being here in glitzy Dubai, but this is not the big population center in the Arab world, in the Middle East. What is being done, what can be done to encourage people from Saudi, Egypt? I just pick those examples because they have large populations.
No, for sure. Saudi is the biggest economy and market in the GCC. Egypt is very much so for North Africa and parts of the Levant. What's beautiful about those two markets is that their national populations are very passionate about doing something for their country. So the willingness to learn is there. We have a lot of students from Egypt, Saudi Arabia that actually fly into our MBA programs. However, as we are an agile educational institution as well, we go there as well. So whenever there's bespoke trainings needed or any other type of bespoke education put together, we have that, we prepare it, and we go to the company or the institution or groups of individuals that wish to continue their education journey.
Suha, great stuff.
Thank
nice
you very much.
Thanks very much, Nick, for talking to us today. Suha Dalul from MODUL University. It was very kind of you to join us today.